Welcome back to part 2 of the Stack and Whack Kaleidoscope Quilt. Doing it the Bethany Reynolds way, the originator of this method. And if you watched part 1, I went through some of the possibilities for some fabric, and you guessed it, I decided on the Anna Maria Horner print. However, I don't have enough of it, so I have ordered a few more yards of it. It is not in yet, so we are going to continue with our course using the digital bird fabric. Now, the first thing we need to do now that we've decided what fabric we want to use is determine the repeat of the pattern on here. And I can see this little bird here that has the round multicolored wing repeats itself here. That looks to be the correct repeat. You have to really look at it. Sometimes if you look on up into this area, you'll find that maybe it is repeated here, but then there's a different repeat of birds up here, and therefore your repeat is bigger than you thought. But there's one good way to determine for sure what your repeat is, and that is to take your ruler and cut a 1-inch strip here. But first we're going to do something different that we don't usually do, and that is we are going to rip this fabric in half lengthwise. So I have the fold here and the selvage up here. I'm just going to make a little cut here so that I can begin to rip this fabric. And I'm going to rip for a while here so that I can get several repeats. And then this part of the fabric we're just going to lay to the other side. And now we have our one layer here. We're going to work with this and cut our repeats. Okay, so as I was mentioning, a good way to do this to find the repeat for sure and not just kind of guess at it is to cut off a 1-inch strip here. It doesn't have to be perfect, just something nice and straight. Also, you want to change your rotary blade at this point because you're going to be slicing through many layers of fabric here in a little bit. So now we can take this, and this can be our repeat finder. So all you have to do is just kind of go down through here until you see that repeat. There's one. Oops, excuse me. And then let's see here if there's a wider one. There's one there. So let's go ahead and measure what this is. This one happens to be a repeat of 13 inches. It could be anywhere from just a few inches all the way up to 24 inches sometimes. So it's looking like this one's about a 13-inch repeat. Let me check that from here. Yeah, it's a 13-inch repeat. So I am going to go ahead and cut on this right side. You want to get this exactly lined up with the pattern here. See how that it just kind of disappears into the fabric, this little strip does. So go. It's a little bit tricky sometimes, but just take your time and make sure you get it exactly right. As if you're off a little bit, it's going to make all of your little hexagons not meet in the middle correctly. So there we go. Alright, so now we can just lay on that cut edge that we just cut for that strip. We can cut again right here. Okay. So now let's go back through. Do another one. It's right here. Nope, it's not right there. See, some of them can fool you. So that's why this strip is so useful. You can get exactly where you need to be. A little bit tedious, but worth it in the long run. You don't want to have something that's off. There we go. Now I'm going to go down through and cut 6 panels this size. 6 pieces, 6 repeats that are this size. Now a little bit about ironing. Here is our selvage edges. I have all 6 of my cuts here, and my ripped edge, which is the center of the lengthwise of the fabric. So you could certainly do this before you do your cuts, but what you want to do is take your iron and run it lengthwise on the fabric. This is still the lengthwise grain, or the most stable side of the grain of the fabric. So I can go through and do each one of these individually here. Got a nice fold there that I don't want to have in there, because when we go to pin these together, we want them to be exactly even and level. So you want to make sure this little fold there is out of there. I have a very noisy iron. I wouldn't use a lot of steam, or definitely not any starch at this point. Last one. Not too much going on as far as deep creases. So now that we have all 6 of our cuts ready to go, we'll start the pinning process. Okay, so now we're going to pin our pieces together so that we can cut our little diamond shapes out, or triangular shapes. I have some flathead pins here, some long ones, and what I'm going to do is just find a spot in from the edges a little bit, but not a whole lot to start. I'm I'm going to find a point. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to go right through that little pink dot right in the center. And I'm going to push my pin through, and all of my successive pieces, I'm going to do that very same thing. Just kind of hold them there, hold that pin, stab the next one. You could certainly pick a edge of a bird feather, or maybe one of the eyes of the bird, some small point that you can get an accurate pinpoint there. And once you have all these together and pulled together like this, now it doesn't mean that all of your edges are going to be even, but at least we know we've got our pattern in the right spot. So once you have that, then you go ahead and push your pin all the way in, and then take another pin right above that to hold it in place. And then you can take this pin out. Now let's get one over on the other direction. This time I think I'm going to pick maybe the center of, well, there's our little pink dot again. I could do that. Let's try that. Right in the center of it. And you can kind of see how you can get some dexterity with this and cleverly use your balance of your hands and the pin to turn that fabric right where it needs to be fed onto the pin. Oops, got two of them. Just one for now. And then there's one there. And here's our last one. Okay, so I'm pulling that head all the way down, straight down, and then I'm going to take another pin right above it and get that set in place. I can pull this one out. So now's a good time to lift it up, maybe give it a little shake, or pull out those lower edges. I can feel I have a little crumpled area here. There it is. So I'm going to pull that to get that to lay flat. Just be gentle. Nothing aggressive. And here we are. Now you're going to see that we're starting to line up. So I'm just going to go through and do that in several places, probably 8 to 10 pins maybe, and then we'll be ready to cut our strips out that will eventually make our 60-degree triangles. So that'll be next. Let me go ahead and do this pinning, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have everything pinned. I ended up using about 8 pins, and what we're going to want to do now is on the side that we want to cut on, we want to make sure that that is even. And as you can see, and this is normal to happen, is that your pieces are off a little bit. So what you want to do is get that completely straight. So you may have to cut off 1/4 inch or so, just to make sure that that edge is going to be completely straight for you. So I'm just going to kind of line up on my mat with my long ruler here, 1/4 of an inch, and go ahead and trim that off. And you want to make sure that you're not going to slide in any way, and that's why you want to kind of move your hands against where you're applying pressure with your rotary cutter. Common sense, right? But that's another good reason that you want to have a nice sharp blade in, so that there's a little light on the pressure there. My blade is new, so I know it's not my blade. So now I need to turn this, because I'm right-handed, this way, and we're going to cut a 3.5 inch strip off of here. As a matter of fact, we're going to cut this entire width here, or length of this fabric, into 3.5 inch pieces, strips. So this time we're going to use our ruler, and we're going to measure 3.5 inches and line that up all the way up and down this side right here. So find your 3.5. 1, 2, 3.5. I've got it up there, and I'm going to make my cuts. And you don't want to cut through your pin. Which is what I just almost did. There's another one. So I'm just going to pull him out a little bit. Here's another one up here. Okay. There's your first 3.5 inch. Now you'll go down through here and cut as many 3.5 inch perfect strips out of this as you can. But for the sake of this video, I am going to go ahead and show you how to cut these. Now you don't want to mess up where they're sitting on top of each other. You don't want to, have your cat jump up here and knock these all around. Otherwise, you've lost your pattern repeat consistency with each of these 6 layers. So at this point, you probably want to switch to a smaller ruler, since you're working with a not as deep of a piece. So your ruler is going to have a 60-degree mark on it, and that is going to go towards the edge of your first piece here. And we're just going to get as close to that selvage as we can without including it, and slice that off of there. That's just scrap. And then now we're going to turn it the other way. Be sure not to disturb the stack. And then keeping in mind that you're wanting to do an equilateral triangle, that just means all 3 sides are the same length. This is 3.5, so we want to find our 60-degree and then move over to the little, this is a 4-inch ruler, so I'm basically letting a 1/2 inch of the ruler hang over. So you'll have to find that 3.5 on your ruler. If you're using a bigger ruler, it's going to hang over more. So this is a 4-inch, so 1/2 inch is all it's going to be hanging over. So you want to make sure that we're finding that, and that goes right through the numbers on my ruler. So if I put my numbers right on that line, I'm going to have the right measurement. Remember, your 60-degree line that's drawn on here or painted on here is going to be on the bottom. This is probably one of the most crucial steps of this whole process, is making sure these angles are correct. Make sure you don't have any pins in the way, which I don't. Now this is going to end up being a diamond. It's going to be a diamond, same length of sides. And then what we're going to do to get our triangles is I'm going to go ahead and pull this pin out, is cut it right in half. But you're going to want to use that 60-degree line again, just to make sure. So the 60-degree now is going to be up on this side. And then you're going to cut from one edge of the diamond to the other. And this is the short edge, not the long edge of the diamond. So there we go. Don't break these up. And until you get everything cut out, you may want to put a clip or a pin on these. Just think of these as little kaleidoscope block kits. So you're just going to want to set those aside until you have them all cut out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some more. So I was able to get 10 sets of kaleidoscope blocks. So now what would be fun is to open up a couple of them and arrange them and how they will be sewn together so you can see what we got. So let's do that. Let's open this one. Should have 6 pieces, and all of your centers should go together. We're starting to see the design of this particular block emerge. And the idea is that you won't have anything repeated. And that's pretty cool because we have almost the entire bird head and body here. And then we have some orange bird bodies here, which give an interesting effect. Let's do another one. Let's do this one. I wish I would have moved that over a little bit. Here we go. Give me some room to compare. This is fun, isn't it? Kind of reminds me of the old time spirograph sets that we had. For some reason. Obviously it's more like a kaleidoscope. Did you all have a kaleidoscope when you were little? When you were a kid? You could get them at the 5 and dime stores. And now there's that one. This one looks totally different. It's got the little pink and purple ring. We have entire birds here, but then the bottom edges of another bird is kind of making this little stripe design on the edge. So that's pretty cool. I think this fabric's going to turn out really good for a kaleidoscope quilt. So that's all we're going to do right now. The next time that I put a part 3 out, we will be sewing these together. And I'll give you all the particulars on how to do that. Alright, enjoy cutting your kaleidoscope fabric out. And we will see you on the next episode. Bye!